The Swamp Critters of Lost Lagoon is a children's television series which first aired on PBS in early 1996. The show was created by country music singer Bobby Goldsboro, and he produced the show as well. He was really behind everything with the show, as he wrote the episodes and funded everything. The show follows the Swamp Critters Band, which is a group of several animals who perform songs in the episodes. It was live action, as people dressed in animal costumes to act as the characters. Some of the characters were Billy Bob Possum, the lead singer, Big Al Gator, Ribbit E. Lee, Joe Raccoon, Imadilla, Gumbo Fiddler Crab, and Phineas Fat Rat. The songs would be several different types of music, and the show was educational. It would teach children social values like honesty, kindness, and accepting of others. The animals would have adventures in the lagoon, sing songs, and learn lessons. The show was released in syndication, originally on select PBS stations, so not all the affiliates. It typically aired on Saturday mornings and aired until late 1997. At that point, the show actually moved to TLC for a few years, before then moving to the Inspired channel in 1999. The show left PBS to try to get a larger audience, as it could do so by getting on cable channels instead of just regional PBS stations. The show received mostly positive feedback when it came out, but it was always kind of under the radar. It was never on all PBS stations, so it never got the attention of some shows. And by 2001, the show was off all major networks. Some VHS tapes of episodes were made of the show, but aside from that, because of the obscurity, some of the show is even considered lost media. There were 3 seasons of the show, and the exact number of episodes seems to be unclear. Some sources say 34, and others as high as 52. At the end of the day, it was a pretty obscure show. Katie and Orby was a show that originally aired on the Family Channel in Canada in 1993. It was an animated series for young children about a 5-year-old girl named Katie and her alien friend Orby. It was based on a series of books by Ben Wicks and his daughter Susan, and was produced by the Canadian Lacewood Productions. The show was narrated by Leslie Nielsen, and Orby landed in Katie's backyard, which is how they became friends. In the show, there would be several small stories per episode about typical childhood experiences. They would be narrated by Nielsen, and the characters would not speak, but just make sounds. In addition to Katie and Orby, there were other characters as well, such as Katie's parents and her friends. There would be interstitials between the short stories on the show, where Katie would give educational facts about things. When it came out, it received positive reviews for its warm and calm feel, as well as unique and creative animation style. It was known as a good educational show that would teach children many different things. The show actually had quite a long run in Canada, and was much more popular there than in the US. In the fall of 1995, it was added to PBS and would air on most affiliate stations. It was part of PBS's Ready to Learn initiative, which put more of an emphasis on educational programming. As it was on PBS, the show was well liked, but never among the most popular. The show would run for 2 years on PBS from 1995 until late 1997. It was taken off PBS in 97 because the broadcast rights expired at that point. In addition to this, Lacewood Productions closed and was taken over by Paragon Entertainment. While the show continued to have new episodes produced after the change of companies, they actually sold the rights at that point to Disney Channel, where it would air on Playhouse Disney. It would run on Disney until 1999, when the production company changed again. The show then went mostly back to Canada, where it aired new episodes all the way until 2003. In total, there were 6 seasons and 78 total episodes. Because of its short runs in the US, the show is pretty obscure here. The Reppies was a children's educational live-action musical show. It first aired on PBS member stations in September of 1996. The show was produced by North Star Entertainment and Treat Entertainment. Similar to the Swamp Critters of Lost Lagoon, the show was about a group of animals who are in a band. It is live action, and the characters were adults in large costumes. The animals were all reptiles, and there are 5 of them in the band: Durango, Bumba, Tessa, Raz, and Lobo. There was also human Miss Summerhaze, who is their British tutor. Unlike the Swamp Critters, these characters are not outside and would perform in theaters. There would also be human characters in the show, and in most episodes the characters would learn all sorts of social lessons. Many relatable themes were part of the show, such as learning to deal with stage fright. They would obviously perform music as well. When the show came out, it aired on most PBS stations, but not all, roughly about 3/4 of them. When the show came out, it actually underperformed. Many people considered it low quality and a knockoff of Barney and Friends. The show aired on PBS until 1999 and failed to reach the market it was hoped for. So the rights were then sold, and the show was taken off of PBS. TBN acquired it, and the show was then redubbed. Reruns aired on TBN for many years. For the small amount of time that it was on PBS, mixed with the fact that it never aired on all stations, the show has become very obscure. Bloopy's Buddies was a live-action children's series first airing on PBS in 1996. The show was an educational program to teach children about health and fitness and encourage them to be active. The star of the show was a character named Bloopy, who is a blob type of creature. Aside from Bloopy, there were human characters such as the chef who would teach about food. Then there was Dr. Feelbetter, a medical character, Sergeant Lookout, a safety officer, and Jumping Jack, a high-energy fitness expert. There was also comedian Jonathan Winters and many different children that would appear on the show. The characters lived in Bloopyville, and children would learn from the experts about fitness. The show was produced in San Diego and came out in syndication. It never aired on all PBS stations but was on just select ones. When it came out, the show was well regarded, even winning some awards, but was really just regionally popular or successful in certain markets, as it never reached the fame of shows on all PBS stations. It would air on PBS until 1998, and then the contract expired. The show would then air on other local stations in syndication, such as some ABC or Fox affiliates, but it never reached that large of audiences. By 2000, the show was mostly not on TV anymore, and since then seems to be largely forgotten. Today, the show is remembered by some people who did watch it as mostly a blurry memory. Some find the show to be creepy or even unsettling from the character style and how Bloopy is a blob. Finally, we have Kratts Creatures. While the Kratt brothers are very well known on PBS for Zaboomafoo or Wild Kratts, their first ever TV show is lesser known. Kratts Creatures first aired on PBS in the summer of 1996. In the series, brothers Martin and Chris Kratt traveled the world to film animals in their natural habitats. It was a documentary-style series which had footage of the animals as well as educational segments where the brothers often added humor. In addition to the brothers, there was their agent Allison who sometimes joins them in the field and helps with the research. Then there was Terk, an animated blue aardvark-like creature who was always cracking jokes. The show had just one season and 50 episodes, and they aired daily in the summer of 1996. After the initial run ended, they aired reruns. It was on pretty much all PBS stations, and it was well liked for the ability to combine humor with animal documentaries. Reruns would air all the way until the year 2000. The show was interesting because it was created to just be 50 episodes and air every single day. With the success of it, instead of making more, the Kratt brothers decided to make a new show. This would become Zaboomafoo, which would be a very successful show on PBS and run for many years. It was similar in many ways to Kratts Creatures, with Zaboomafoo the lemur sort of replacing Terk. After Zaboomafoo, the Kratt brothers made other successful shows as well. Their first original show, Kratts Creatures, seems to sometimes be forgotten because of everything else they've done. That's all for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.